welcome to the Mystic Mondays YouTube channel. Today we are doing a deck unboxing of the Pleasure Alchemy Deck by Maude White, the creator behind this deck, as well as a cut paper artist, author, teacher, and mindfulness tarot reader. And I also had her as a podcast guest on my podcast, The Graced Podcast, where we talked about themes of the Strength Tarot card. Make sure to check out that podcast episode linked here. I'm also hosting a giveaway of the Resilience Alchemy deck on Instagram, her sister deck. So make sure to head over to Instagram to check out on how to enter this giveaway and add this deck to your deck collection. If you are interested in creating your own deck as a multi-deck creator, I do have a membership where I teach deck creators like you how to make your own deck from start to finish. You can check out all of those details at cydc.mysticmondays.com. We'll be looking at the deck box, guidebook, card art, as well as conducting a deck interview. And at the end of the video, we'll be doing a card pull for the collective to see what messages this deck wants to give you at this time. I am a deep believer that decks have different personalities, so we'll be using a deck interview spread from my Mystic Mondays Tarot journal. If you want to use this deck interview spread for yourself, the link is in the description box to view the blog article on mysticmondays.com. Let me know what you think about this deck by leaving a comment below. Like this video if you'd like to have this deck in your collection, and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more Mystic unboxings on your feed and in the inevitable future. Now let's get started. Hey Mystic, welcome to a deck unboxing of the Pleasure Alchemy Deck, a deck and guidebook for self-expression and fulfillment by Maude White, who was on the Graced Podcast where we talked about themes of the Strength card. And here is the sister deck of the Pleasure Alchemy. There's the Resilience Alchemy, and we talk about both of these decks inside of our episode. I do not know what that was. Anyway, I already did a video on the Resilience Alchemy, so this video we are going to focus on the Pleasure Alchemy. So, similar hefty box like the Resilience Alchemy, and we've got 78 full color cards, 216 page full color flexi-bound guidebook, magnetic closure keepsake box. Explore what brings you pleasure in all its forms. Pleasure Alchemy provides us with a tool set of ideas for rethinking and rearranging our pre-existing notions around what brings us pleasure in all facets of our lives. Okay, so let's get into it. We've got a teacup and some honey here for the end papers inside the box. We've got a hefty guidebook, and Maude wrote all of these descriptions, and she also did all the art. And I know it looks like vector art, but it's actually hand cut paper, which I suppose there's pleasure in that and also resilience. So inside the magnetic keepsake box, we have a tuck box, I suppose, to protect the cards even more. And there we go. We've got PA for Pleasure Alchemy. And on the back of the cards, we have PA as well, except it's on red. I'm going to go ahead and put the box to the side. And we're going to look through all the cards. So this is the very first time I'm looking through this deck. So we are going to take this journey together. And we've got Pleasure Seeker, Gardener. Just gonna lay out all the cards. Strawberry. I didn't know that was a word. Strawberry. It sounds like a fancy, like wine or something. Yeah, but we've got a lot of pleasure-seeking archetypes here. Rebel, trapeze swinger, hedonist, artist,
Archivist, Eyeball, Guilt Smasher, Wave Dancer, Yonder, Gift Giver, Ease, Finder, Writer, Mender, Listen. Now this is the Body Remedy, Soul Remedy, Spark Remedy, and these come in numbers. I'm gonna go ahead and just put them everywhere because this is a way I also shuffle the cards by looking through all the artwork in these deck unboxing videos. So looks like we've got, you know, repeating illustrations for some of these. I think by category. Intimacy, eye contact, vulnerability, dance, spoken words, gala days, affirmation, savor, great work, daydreams, surrender, flexibility, the bonfire, questions, yell, the mountains, opened windows, this and float, indulgences, awareness, breathe, sun catchers, belonging, just you. Okay, so now that we've looked through all of the cards, I am going to put them all in a pile to do a deck interview spread. So here we go. And we're gonna use the Mystic Mondays Tarot Deck Interview Spread, which is inside the Mystic Mondays Tarot Journal, which is a journal that I created with Chronicle Books, and it is your guide to unlocking the transformative power of tarot. So inside the book, you can log in your interpretations of spreads, of card pairings, of the different cards. We've got keywords and charts in here. And you can also log in your tarot deck interviews. So this isn't a tarot deck, but I also use this spread just to understand the vibe of a deck, because I do feel like decks have different personalities. So let's see. So number one is, what is the energy of this deck? What is the energy of this deck? There's so many cards. Ooh, okay, this one really wants to come out. Beginnings and endings. Relevant. How can this deck best support me? Number two, how can this deck best support me? Intimacy. I think that's huge in pleasure. Number three, what is this deck's strengths? Homebody. Have been feeling like a homebody. Number four, what is this deck's weakness? Guilt Smasher. Interesting. In what realm will we best communicate? Belonging. How will our relationship develop? Oddball. And then number seven, Archivist. What guidance can you offer me this moment? She knows all pleasures. Okay. So let's do beginnings and endings first. And I'm not super familiar with this deck, so we're gonna explore together. This guidebook is pretty hefty. Oh my god, I just realized I completely skipped the guidebook, but we're gonna go through it anyway. So we are looking for Soul Remedy number 12. We are at Pleasure Seeker here. This is very similar to how the Resilience Alchemy deck is set up. So if you watch that video, then this is pretty similar. Looking for number 12. Beginnings and endings. Here we are. Is it time to begin something new? Are you ready to cross the finish line? Every beginning and every ending is powerful, each holding the seeds of great pleasure. Think of the dizzying anticipation you feel every time you take the first step toward a goal. Remember the rush of satisfaction you experience every time you finish a project. It is important to mark when things begin and when they end. It is important to let things begin and then let them end. These moments can be small and secret, or they can be big and eventful. A beginning or ending does not need to alter your life to be enjoyable, and sometimes the true pleasure of it comes simply from the pleasure of relief. You have finally finished. You have finally begun. Congratulations! There is such power for change within you. Turn over a new leaf. So, I think pleasure and finding pleasure is such a journey for everybody, especially because I don't think pleasure is necessarily prioritized all the time. We hear a lot about sacrifice and the things that we have to do to delay pleasure. Perhaps it's like delaying instant gratification to achieve a longer term goal, but I think what I'm getting from this is redefining pleasure and what that means for you. And then number 2, how can this deck best support me? I have intimacy, which is number 5. What is intimacy? Can anyone among us truly define it? What it feels like? How it can be shared? The word itself comes from the Latin intimus, which means innermost, deepest. Perhaps this offers us some clue toward understanding and embracing intimacy in our lives. What connection is possible when we reach out toward others to share our innermost, deepest truths and feelings? Alchemist, intimacy has no borders, no limits. It can be shared in any way imaginable and in any situation imaginable. It can be fleeting or it can last a lifetime. Yet intimacy requires courage and self-trust. You must be willing to share yourself wholeheartedly and with honesty. Can you do this? If you feel hesitant, ask yourself, where in my life do I feel the deepest peace? What sparks the truest feeling of kinship inside of me? What do I feel the closest to? Now reach out. So I think this also speaks to different levels of feeling safe, when seeking intimacy with others. I suppose you can seek intimacy with yourself, but I feel like this is like bridging the gap between, creating close relationships and things like that. So I think, this could be a really good deck to use when trying to understand different relationships. That's like kind of what I'm getting. And then here we have Homebody for what is this deck's strengths, and that is in the pleasure seeker position in this book. Homebody. Her body is her safe space. The homebody meets you as you begin to explore your passions and desires, your likes and dislikes. Her smile is warm and tender, and her eyes are kind. She asks you, what makes you feel the most at home in your body? This is where pleasure begins. This card is where you start your journey. So be curious, let yourself explore. Feel comfort in your body home. Remember, your body is a safe space to feel pleasure in all its forms. It is a safe place to act on desire. Any pleasure your body feels belongs to you and is natural for you. Pleasure lives in your body and is expressed through your body. A home is made for pleasure, and you are your first home. When your body feels safe, the pleasurable possibilities are endless. Yeah, I'm getting like a sense of, just exploring what pleasure feels like and what pleasure means, because it can mean different things for different people. We've got Guilt Smasher for What is this deck's weakness? She makes no apologies. The Guild Smasher gives you a softly curved, uncracked geode and a heavy hammer. She watches as you tap the rock, steadily increasing pressure until the geode cracks, revealing the cavern of crystals within. She asks you, has guilt kept pleasure trapped inside you? Is it time to let go of what holds you captive? Pleasure isn't a reward you are given for certain behavior or for hardship endured. It isn't compensation you receive for being a good person. Pleasure is an innate capacity to find joy and fulfillment, and we are all born with this ability. Often society tells us that pleasure is extravagant or self-indulgent and must be deferred because there are more important and productive things to do first. That's literally what I just said. The Guild Smasher asks us to question this premise. What could be more important than finding joy in your life? Than following your heart's desire? Let pleasure be the end in and of itself. Make no apologies. Well, I think that makes a lot of sense. I feel like what I'm getting from this, very much so, is this feeling of redefining pleasure. And this could be a good deck to consult when, figuring that out. So we've got a voice remedy here. And I'm gonna find that. Belonging is in what realm will we best communicate? So, with gentle, curious attention, turn your mind to the world around you. Recognize how much a part of this world you are. You belong here. Your desires and needs belong here as well. To sometimes feel isolated or alone is natural. You have a singular body that navigates the world independent of others. Yet this does not mean your navigation is flawed or divergent in any way. Your presence here, your pleasure here, makes the world richer, deeper, and more beautiful. Settle into your body. Settle into your life. May a world of pleasure enfold you and welcome you home where you belong. Yeah. Coming home to oneself is also a theme that I'm getting through this deck. And then we have Oddball for number 6. How will our relationship develop? And I think that's back here in the beginning of the guidebook. Oddball. She does what she wants for pleasure. The oddball is a confident figure. Her gaze is playful and direct. She meets you when you're feeling apologetic and unsure, hesitant to pursue what brings you joy. She asks you, when you are old and gray, or if you are old and gray, and look back on your life, will it matter what anyone else thought of you now? Seek pleasure in unconventional ways or places. What anyone else deems right or wrong, silly or strange, is of no importance. The relevant question is, does this bring you joy? You are never alone in your pleasures, whatever they may be. Everyone has some desire they feel hesitant to express, and whether or not you discover that a specific pleasure is your cup of tea, let it exist in the world and respect those who enjoy it. All pleasure is valid and valuable as long as you and others are safe and satisfied. Yeah, I feel like this is very much about finding your joy, finding your pleasure, and not caring what anyone thinks, which can be a lifelong journey for some people. So why not seek that pleasure now? And then the last card, we have, what guidance can you offer me at this moment? And I have, she knows all pleasure. You walk down a cool, echoing hallway to the archivist's office. She welcomes you with a smile and offers you a comfortable chair beside her desk. You feel safe in her presence. You know you can speak to her about anything. She asks you, what do you wish to know about pleasure? Throughout history, people have found pleasure in so many ways. Is it time to explore this vast heritage? Sometimes in order to find your pleasure niche, you might need a little help. It can be difficult to figure out what feels good or what you need when you don't know where to start. Is it time to look to the collected pleasure wisdom of others for advice or help? Let yourself be inspired. There is pleasure for you. Gain ideas from others. So, I think that very much speaks to finding your own pleasure, not caring what other people think, and doing your own thing ultimately, because it's your life. You know what I mean? So that's the message that I'm getting from the Pleasure Alchemy. So now let's do a collective card pull to see what message the Pleasure Alchemy has for you. Okay, so doing a quick scan. Actually feeling cards up here, which this one or one of these two. Okay. All right. We've got Yell, 10th Body Remedy. So these aren't ordered alphabetically, just saying. If you happen to get this deck, okay. If you could yell anything right now as loudly as possible, what would it be? What words, unspoken inside you, might wish to be shared the loudest today? What can only be said with all your breath and energy? There is something incredibly powerful about raising your voice and letting go of the polite, quiet, appropriately pitched side of yourself. No matter how tamed we think we are, there is still some ancient part of us, nestled, alert, and ready deep inside, ready to let out a primal yell if necessary. Is it necessary today? Are there words you've kept bottled up inside that need to be released? Imagine the pleasure you will feel when you raise your voice. Fill your belly with air and let go. If a yell seems too dangerous or stressful today, consider loudly singing a meaningful song or writing your thoughts in caps on a placard and propping it somewhere important. Don't hold back. Let it all out. Well, if you need to go yell today, this is a clear sign to go do that. And I was actually reading someone's Instagram caption, and she was talking about how she basically yelled out this affirmation really loudly, and she just felt like this body sensation of her rejecting that affirmation because she actually didn't feel like she was embodying it. So if you want to yell something out, if you want to become something, let's say, I am powerful, for example, that would be a great way to embody the feeling of power. So yelling, I feel like, has kind of a negative connotation where you're yelling at someone or you're angry or something. But I think it's just an expression that your human body can do. You have the capacity to yell, and sometimes we want to exert energy in different ways, and yelling is one of them, especially if we have a lot of pent up energy that we want to release. So if you are feeling the call to yell, do it and let me know in the comments how that felt. You can even yell into a pillow. That's what we do in breath work when it comes to the part in breath work where we yell, if that's within your practice. And that is what I have done and have been trained to do when I did breathwork training. But you can scream into a pillow if you can't scream in your immediate environment or you're worried about making noise. So that is a message that I'll leave you with, and let me know what you thought about the Pleasure Alchemy deck. Please like this video and check out the channel for more deck unboxing videos. Until next time, bye!
Like this video? Check out other deck unboxing videos, tarot lessons, as well as timeless tarot readings on the Mystic Mondays channel. Thanks for tuning in and see you next time.